Hey there, Tyler Lubin at Visual Intelligence. All right, today we're going to talk about Tableau's Visual Analytics pane. Now, with that pane has a couple of different options in it. You have like the reference line, the average line, the trend line, the forecast. There's a lot of different options in there, and they really kind of enhance your visualizations. Most of the times they're not really required by your end user, but sometimes they give some additional information that wasn't there before. So it's good to kind of try it out and see what you think or see what they think. All right. So we're going to go through a different example of every single one that Tableau offers, and they're pretty simple, so it's not going to be a too hard of a video. If you want to follow along, you can use that link above to download the data. When you download that data, if you leave a comment, subscribe, and a like on this video, you also get the LOD Master Course for free. It's one of our highest earning highest learning e-learning courses that we offer. This is a paid course, but you'll get it for free by just subscribing, liking, and commenting on this video. All right, so let's go ahead and get started, and we will hopefully teach you something new in this one. Go ahead and start. So I have the data connected. Like I said, you can download that data using that link. I just put the I haven't built out anything. I just put the tabs here and the names here just so I know where I'm going. But we got the data, pretty simple data. We're gonna look at. We got like so pretty much this is like a vacation sales type data. So we have the date, what if it was corporate or satellite office, what was the office, how many calls were done in the day, how many leads, sales goal, all that. So a lot of metrics, some date, a couple of dimensions, but we're going to be using this data to create the different visual analytics. So at the top left, you have your data pane here. Under the analytics, this is all the different visual analytics, and we're going to go through each one. All right, so first one is a constant line. All right, we're going to create a quick chart. We're going to look at office. Let's look at sales. And let's make this a bar chart. All right, so let's say we're looking at the office and the sales, right? I'm gonna go ahead and make the sales currency. So I always change my currency here for my default currency so that I change it once and it's finished. So I'm gonna go here and make this currency custom. All right, so we got sum of sales here, looking at it by office. Now let's say we had a threshold of like 10,000, right? We go to Visual Analytics. We go to constant line, we can drag it. It's gonna go across our table. It just popped up here randomly. We're gonna then find the line. Sometimes you gotta really like finesse to get that little finger right on the line. I usually like go in the gaps and then get it, and then I right click and edit it. And then from here, you just type in the value. So let's say we're gonna do 10,000. All right, you can do like the label, you can do the value, the computation, or custom. We'll play with that a little bit later, but let's just leave it 10,000. All right, super simple. We got a line going across, which is 10,000. Something else I like doing, I like doing this with the constant line and the reference line also, is changing the color of the bars to be one color or the other, depending on if it's above or below my constant or reference line. So just for fun, let's go ahead and just do that. I'm gonna do here, create calculated field, just do greater than 10K. Super simple. It's just the sum of sales greater than 10,000. And this is just gonna give us a true false. So this is just a logic statement here. See, I got the little true false here, and just put that into color. So anything above 10,000, it's going to be one color. Anything below, it's going to be one color. I hate this blue and orange, so you can always go in here, change the colors and all that. But that's essentially it. So you got the constant line there going across your entire table. Now let's do average line. All right, I'm going to kind of build that same visual out. All right, and I'm going to look at Visual Analytics. And let's do average line. All All right, now this table pane cell thing here. So you kind of see on the picture, this says it goes across our table. Table and pane in this situation is the same thing because there's only one pane. Where table and pane matters is when you have another dimension out there. So I'll do table right now and show you pane in a little bit later. But essentially, you kind of see it in the picture. You got it segmented out, and then cell would be each of these bars. This situation, we just want it to go across. This kind of very similar to the constant line, but this is an average. So you can see it right there. What we can do is with any of these, you can edit or format most of them and change some things. On this one, I want to change the label. So I'm going to do label. I'm going to do custom. And this is how I usually do it. I do average, so I know what I'm looking at. And then I do this little arrow here, and then I insert the value. And you can see what's happening here. It's just average with the value. I like that look. So I usually do that when I'm doing an average. Also, I like dashes. Totally up to you. You can change the weight, change the color, do whatever you want. I mean, this is just, customizing and adding some fill and stuff, but the base of it is pretty simple. So there you go with the average line going across. All right, median quartiles. All right, let's go back to data. We're going to bring out our date and our cells. Let's do a line chart. Let's make this by week. Make sure you pick this week number down here. So we got our cells by week here. Now we're going to go to Visual Analytics, median with quartiles. Bring that over. We're going to do across our table again. And there you go, right? It just pops up for you. So you got the median of the data, right? And then we have the upper and lower quartile. Now, if we right click, for example, median and go to edit, you can see you got all the same options as before. Pretty much only thing different is instead of the average here, this is median. And as you see, you can change it to whatever you want here. But then you also have the upper and lower quartile. So you see, I gotta hover really, really nicely right there. And you can right click and you see how it highlights all of it and edit. And then now you have the distribution, which is the quartiles. Okay, you can change it to percentiles, percentage, and all that. But this defaults upper and lower quartile. And you have some different options here. All right, but essentially this is saying here's your median, and generally everything kind of falls above and below the quartiles within this range, and you can adjust it as you want. But you get that super simple median with lower and upper quartile. All right, box plot. Bring out some more data. This time, let's see. I'm gonna bring out office. Let's bring out sales, and let's just get the box plot generated, and then we'll mess with it from there. All right, so the box plot is all the way down here. This is the box and whisker plot, same thing. So we got blocks and whisker here. What this is telling us is this is giving us upper and lower hinge and upper and lower hinge and whiskers, the medians in the middle. Each of these dots are different offices. Okay. Now what this is telling us, let me move this over, and it kind of looks ugly like that. But what this is saying is whatever is kind of in this gray area is considered a normal. Everything outside of it is outliers. Those are oddballs out, right? So right now we only have like 6 or 7 offices, so that don't really make too much sense. So let's bring out like date or have some more dots. Defaults year, it's all right. Let's bring out, or let's change this to day. And I also like making this a little border and then some transparency so I can see the concentration some. All right, and you can see a lot more going on. Let's decrease this size a little bit. All right, so what this is saying, these are all these dots are all the different days, every day what the cells are. And in general, our cells usually fall between here, right? What's in the box, the upper and lower with the median. And then you have these, the whiskers at the end. But pretty much anything outside of that are considered outliers, okay? And you can update these. And this box of whisker is not something just specific to Tableau. It's a statistic thing that you can Google to understand it more. But you got some more options. You got 1.5 within the inner quartile, extend it to the max. Hide the underlining, because really we only really care about outliers in this situation. So like you can hide the underlining, change the color, but essentially we kind of use this visual to kind of drill into what's going on with these, why these days so odd compared to the others, and that kind of gives you a statistical test of why. Okay, but that's the box whisker plot. I generally stay away from these unless somebody asks for it or they know it, because I found that it confuses a lot of people. I do it sometimes. It just really matters who's your audience. If they kind of understand the value of it, then give it to them. Or if you have like manufacturer data and stuff. But I would say 80-90% of the time I make it, somebody's like, I don't know what this is, remove it. Just my opinion. But it's there. All right, let's look at totals. So you can usually, when you think of totals, you think of like a text table, right? So let's say we got like office, maybe let's do sales, and let's bring out the year into column. Sorry, you got a table like this. There's actually multiple ways of doing this. You can go analytics in totals. You can go analysis in totals. If you want to do it this way, you have the option of subtotals if you have more than 2 dimensions out there to make multiple panes, or you have columns and rows. We can do the column one, for example, and then we can bring in and do the row one also. This also can be done in charts, like a bar chart. So I'm gonna go to bar chart. I'm not sure what this is gonna do, but let's take a look. All right, so we got that. I'm gonna take out year real quick, and I'm gonna flip it, and I'm gonna do totals again. And you see you got the total here for this is total for all that. So you got totals to multiple different visualizations. And also you can add multiple visual analytics to one visualization. For example, I can bring in my average line and bring it in here as well. Okay, so you can mix and match this as much as you want. Just be careful. Don't clutter it too much. Usually you want to stick with 1 or 2 max. But Tableau doesn't tell you no. So if you want to do it, go ahead and try it. I mean, that's the part of it. That's part of the fun of it. All right, so now let's go to the next one. This is the next section called model. So we're going to start off with the average with 95% confidence interval. So I'm going to make a line chart real quick. And I want a little more data, so I'm going to make this weekly. And go to Visual Analytics. Average with a 95% confidence interval. We gotta do total, pane, sell. And this one, before I do this, I'm gonna segment this so you can see what that pane is. So like if I bring out corporate, right, into my columns, you see I have a line for corporate and a line for my satellite offices. And then now if I bring in the average with the 95, I have table, which I'll do both. So a table which goes all the way across the table. I'm going to go ahead and right click and remove it, or you can hit undo. And then you have the pane, which will kind of reset it for each pane, as one for this pane and one for that pane. Okay. So this is the average with a 95% confidence interval between the 2 tops and bottoms here in the gray, pretty much saying, well, this is the average and I'm 95% confident that the numbers will be in between these 2. Okay. Now, I mean, this data is super volatile, but this 95% confidence interval is there for you to see. You can edit this just like all the other ones. And once again, most of all these are statistically based. So if you're curious what confidence interval means, Google it and it'll explain it. And it's the same concept within Tableau. Tableau just does it for you simply. But you right click confidence interval, you can change it to a 90, an 80, and 99.9. All these are based off of the different statistics you want to use, but you have all the different options. Change all the shading and lines and all that. But you get a simple average line with a 95% confidence interval. All right, median with 95. I'm sure you're guessing it's going to be the same thing, but the median, right? But I'm going to throw a little twist on this one. So let's do sales date, line chart, and week. All right, so cool thing is, like I said before, you can mix and match. So let's bring in median with 95, put this across the table. So this is our median line and the 95 for that. Let's bring average across our table. That's the average and the conference interval for that. So, I mean, a lot of you know, you can have this huge data or this huge point that just jacks up your average, right? So like looking at your median and your average is kind of important because if you average out the data, you might not see that or realize that they got one just crazy point. Could be just a data problem that's messing up your average. And you'll be able to realize that because you can see the difference between the average and median. This situation is not that big, so it's nothing I would worry about. But if the median was way down here and the average is way up there, you'd be like, all right, what's going on? Something's going on with my data. Something's skewed my data. So it's kind of cool to look at it both in the same visualization like this so that you can identify that type of thing. But that is your median with your 95. Trend lines. Now, trend lines is my favorite. I use that all the time because you can't really mess up with trend lines. Everybody understands them. Everybody gets them. It doesn't hurt your visualization at all. I'll usually always add some value to it. So I'm going to look at this. I'm going to do this monthly. Analytics, trend line, bring it in. We got some different options here. We got some different trend models. Tableau gives you a nice little kind of cheat book to tell you which trend model you should use. Looking at how your data is structured, you kind of follow what it is. This data is pretty linear, so I'm going to do linear, but like for example, you had a whole bunch here and then it just starts going up like that, you would use exponential. So you just kind of look at how your data is shaped and then pick the correct one from there. I'm going to do the trend line linear one and it pops up for us. You see when I hover, it gives us our equation with our R squared and p-value. Once again, that will tell us how significant this trend model is. Statistics, I would read up on that before I try to explain that to anybody. But it's all there. If you right click, you can describe the trend model. It gives you some more stats. If you right click, you can describe trend line. It gives you some more stats. And you can format it. And you add, change all your formatting options, just like pretty much anything in Tableau with you right click and format. All right, trend line. Let's do another one. Forecast. I'm scared of forecast. I just don't want someone to come to me and say, oh, you made this forecast. I made this $1 million bet on it and it was wrong, right? I stay away from it. Totally up to you. Do what you want. But it is here. It makes it, super simple for you. But my just opinion of doing consulting, I try to stay away from it. I let the statisticians do their thing, which Tableau does have an R integration. So if you want to do some real good forecasting, I would probably do that compared to this. But hey, it's there. So you just bring it over. You got pretty much it makes the indicator go into color, and you have the real actual data, which is that dark blue, and then what the forecast is that light blue, and you can change that color here. It's just gonna kind of come out like a straight line like this with the confidence interval, but you can right click and go to forecast options, and you got a lot of different options in here. So we got automatic. It automatically did the next 18 weeks. You can say, no, I don't want to do it the next 18 weeks. I want it to do the next, 6 weeks or something. Okay. Or the next 12 weeks. You have how it's aggregated. Usually you have, a drop in the last month because it's not a full month or full week. So it ignores that last one. And then here you got the model. So if you do automatic with seasonality, that's pretty much what it is automatically. But if you do custom, you can do, for example, change both of these to additive, and then it will give it some variation like that. Or you could change both of these to multiplication. All right, and then you'll see down here you got a little note telling it pretty much it doesn't suggest this. You got confidence intervals. You don't want to get rid of the confidence intervals. You can. You want to change it. You can. But it gives you a little bit of forecast. Just be careful. That's all I got to say. All right, but it's there. All right, and I mean it's cool. I don't hate it, but I'm just scared of it. All right, so next one is cluster. This one we need a scatter plot to do cluster. So I'm gonna bring out. Let's see. I'm gonna bring out date, sales, and calls. And I'm gonna do a scatter plot. Jacks everything up. It's all right. I'm gonna put my date into my details, and I want this to actually be the day. All right, so I got my scatter plot. Every dot is a day. Going across your X and Y is your sales and your total calls. Now, what we can do is go to analytics, and we can go to cluster here, and bring it in. You just get one option. It's going to have our two variables. We can go in and bring additional variables if we want. Right now, it's just the variables that are currently in our view. And it's automatically going to pick the number of clusters, but you can change it to say 4, and it will force it to be grouped into 4 different clusters. Okay, so you see the light blue, the dark blue, orange, and the red. All right, so it groups our combos into these clusters for us using some logic. All right, now with this, I usually like doing like a circle, and then as you saw before, I add some transparency to it, and maybe a little border just so you can see the concentration, especially if you got dots all over the place. Like right now it looks like all of these are kind of like in these lines, but a lot of times they're all over the place. So this will tell you, you know, where the, like for example here, where they're kind of a whole bunch and it doesn't look like just a big blob. So that's just kind of a good tip, but there goes your clusters. All right, reference lines. Let's do a bar chart on this one. I'm gonna do office, I'm gonna do sales, and a bar chart. Probably reference line is my second most used one after trend. You go to analytics, we go to reference lines here. We got the same options as kind of the constant average, table, pane, cell. Going across my table. And then here, as you see, reference line really does the exact same thing as the average line, but you can just change it. So for example, we can make this like the max. We can make this the constant, which is the same thing as a constant line, the median, etc. But kind of cool thing with the reference line is it doesn't have to be the same thing that the bars are made out of. So right now we just have sum of cell in the view, so that's the only option here. But I'm gonna go back and put another measure out here so that I can use that in my reference line. So I'm just gonna go ahead and remove this. I'm gonna go to data. I'm gonna bring in my sales goal. And I'm not going to actually put it here. I'm just going to put in my details because it's not going to change my view at all because I just want it somewhere in the columns, rows, marked so that I can grab it in my reference line. So now I go back to analytics and bring in the reference line across the table. And now when I hit this drop down, I'll have this option. All right, now I have cell goal. I could do it across the entire table like I did before, or you could change it. I'm going to actually do this by per cell. And I don't want any computation. I don't want anything there. And so this line is the cell goal for each office. And this is where the office is. You can change the line color. You can do a fill. I know I didn't say that before, but you can do a fill. All right, for example, like I'm doing a fill below. And pretty much it's the same. Reno's right here at 19,000. The goal is 212, which is right here with this reference line. And you got that far to go. All right, so that is how you use a reference line, which, like I said, is really the same thing as a constant and average line and all those. You just have the option to change it. So that's why it's just custom. All right, now we got reference band. All right, I'm going to make that same view. I'm going to do office, sales, and a bar chart. And we do analytics, reference band, bring that out. I'm going to do it across my table. We have the sum of sales right now, which is the min. We can change this to be the median, max, or whatever. But essentially what you're doing is it's the band from and to. So it's like the bottom and the top of the band. So in this situation, I'm going to do the bottom. So the from, I'm going to do, I'm going to leave it the min of cells. And then the top, instead of the minimum, I'm going to do like the average. All right, and then I'm gonna hit OK. I think it looks better flip. It makes more sense to me, so I'm gonna flip it. But what this is doing is this is the minimum. So this one of these are the minimum. This one here is the minimum. So the band starts here, and it goes all the way up to the average. We could play with this some. We can say, all right, instead of it's starting at the minimum, we want to start at the average, and we want to go to the maximum. All right, so this is the average all the way up to the maximum. We could change the color if we like, change the computation, kind of all that same stuff. But this is a band where you tell it the bottom and the top of the band. Okay, and then your bars will sit somewhere on top of that. All right, so that's the reference band. And the last one is the distribution band. Build that same view, office, sales, bar chart, and go to analytics and the distribution band. All right, going across our table. Now this distribution band is very similar as the reference band, but there's some logic applied to it. So you see the computation here. This is saying it's going to show from the 60 to the 80% of the average. So this is from 60 to 80. We can go in here and say, all right, I want 60, 80 to 100. All right, we could also do, instead of percentages, we can do, instead of doing percentages, we could do percentiles, like the 95% percentile. Probably want to do a fill below if we do something like that. If you do percentages, we could also do, you saw, well, when I went back, I changed this to total. So before, I believe it was at, I don't know, I think I saw it at the median. But it was at the median. We can do total. All right, we can do the sum, the min, max, that it doesn't matter. So you can play with all these. This will give us the percentages of some cell in this situation. We can do percentiles, quartiles, standard deviation. Hey, all right, so thanks for sticking all the way through it. These are all, like I said, pretty helpful. The ones I use the most is the trend line and probably the reference line and maybe the average after that. I tend to stay away from the forecast just because I don't want people to make forecast decisions and then come back to me and be like, oh, why is that forecast wrong, right? So I usually try to leave that to the statisticians. But they're all there for you to play with. Go ahead and create some different charts and just add them in there. See if your end user likes them. If not, very easy to remove them. All right, well, that's it for this video. I will see you. And remember also, if you use the link above, you can download that LOD master course for free. I know you already went through it, so you probably don't care about downloading the data by now, but you do get that master course. All right, see you in the next one.